Respect it, I mean, we network across the globe, cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech, cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show, cause we live on air, yeah.
Welcome back, Tech Zone. Paul Amadeus Lane, second segment of the show. We hope you enjoyed the first segment talking about the new show from the USA Network, Falling Water. It's going to debut this fall. Gail and her, wow, Blake Masters got a chance to get into their mind about the project before it comes out. And I really like to interview folks before the show hits the air and then interview them after. And say, hey, remember when we talked? You said this, you said, but it's not like gotcha journalism. I was just like, hey, reminisce on how you thought about the show and where it's at today. It's really cool. I had a chance to do that with the folks from the 100 CW. Jay, the executive producer, had a chance to talk with him privately at a Warner Brothers event. He and I was just talking about the show and everything. So yeah, but now we're going to talk about gamers, gears, and green screen. Some of the things that go behind the scenes when it comes to gaming. Sean, this is your alley, guys. This is your gamer. This segment is actually our part of a two-part series we're going to do on the Tech Zone. When I was at Comic-Con, I got invited to a panel talking about gaming and gears, and it was moderated by two stars. One was Scott Porter. Scott's been on Friday Night Lights, Scorpion, Heart of Dixie, and the other one was Christopher Gorham. Chris has been on Covert Affairs, Once Upon a Time, Ugly Betty. He voices the Flash in the animated movies, and got a chance to sit down with him. Well, he's going to join me this segment, as well as Vince Argentine. Vince is a motion capture supervisor. Think back to last week's show when we talked to Liam and Andrea, who were the two actor and actresses that was going to be in the Final Fantasy Kingsglaive movie. So they're the ones who are the motion capture artists. Now we're going to talk to the motion capture supervisor and get his take behind this technology. So sit back and enjoy. This is what I did at Comic-Con. It was cool. I had a blast. Here we go. What brings you here to Comic-Con, my friend?
Well, you know, I'm here signing pictures, and I'm here moderating this panel on video games, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what these guys have to say. I've been a gamer kind of my whole life. Now I've got kids that are gamers, but I don't know a lot about kind of the nuts and bolts about how these things are put together, so I'm really curious.
Now, Chris, when it comes to gaming, what was your first console you had?
Yeah, boy, the Atari 2600.
You know, everyone who I talked to who's a serious gamer, everyone has had an Atari 2600. You remember Asteroids, and we thought we were something when Pac-Man came out, right?
Oh my God, Pac-Man is literally, it's the only video game my dad would ever play with me. To this day, he loved Pac-Man. I don't know why.
Now, as you see video games evolving now to where it is today, how do you feel about just the graphics, the composition, the music behind it, the filmation, the filmography? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you, the graphics themselves don't impress me all that much. What impresses me is the improved storytelling. That, I think, that's what interests me. Because a lot of the games are kind of the same old games, just with better graphics. And at some point, you know, when you get to be old like me, you kind of you're like, oh, I played that game. Like, I don't care if it looks better, it's the same game. But I do still get drawn into a good story.
Now, what's your favorite game today? You have a particular title that you like?
Boy, that's tough. I can tell you the favorite ones in our household right now. Overwatch is one of them. So I know we've got a guy from Blizzard here.
Got a couple of them.
I'm excited to talk to. And then for me, like Resident Evil was always a favorite game of mine. So I know Vince is here from that too. So I see those are two of them.
Now, well, how do you feel about when gaming titles become movies? How do you feel about that?
I don't mind it. Again, listen, if it's done well, you know, and that's the key. Like, if the story's good, then great, go for it. You know, I'm sorry, it's just talking about video game movies reminded me of like that old Super Mario movie.
Remember that? Yes.
as an example of what not to do.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000% on that. 1,000%. Now, being an actor and all the things that you're involved in, when do you have time to play video games?
I don't that much, actually, especially with 3 kids. I was just saying that, my wife doesn't take kindly if I'm up all night playing a video game. But I'll play with my kids. Like, we'll play, like, Call of Duty, or I'll play Overwatch with them. Minecraft is big in our house. So that kind of stuff.
What do you think about the new VR gaming? What's your take on that?
Well, I think VR is going to kind of take over the world, frankly. If they can figure out... But again, it's all going to come down to story, If they can figure out how to get people plugged into a great story in VR, that's really going to be the key. Because, you can only do so much of kind of walking around. And again, it will be... If it's the same old game, just with better graphics, or with VR, but it's the same old game, eventually people get bored.
And when it comes to VR, do you kind of fear that we might get to the Total Recall days of VR where nobody wants to come out?
Or like Ready Player One. Did you see that book?
Yes.
Man, that was good. I'm looking forward to that movie.
Yeah.
But am I afraid of that? I don't know if I'm afraid of it. But I think there is a danger already to people being so plugged in to their pockets that they're missing out on what's going on around them. Yeah, or like, it's funny because kind of what bugs me about social media sometimes, particularly the interface with Facebook. I don't know, it doesn't work. I don't know, but you kind of have conversations, but they never feel like real conversations. You're kind of catching up with everybody without actually interacting with everybody, and for me anyway, it just doesn't work.
I totally hear you. And Chris, what new projects you working on?
So I've got a limited series called Full Circle that's going to be on Audience Network. I think it's September, and then I just finished directing and starring in my first feature. It's a really sweet, funny, smart little indie comedy called We Love You, Sally Carmichael, that'll be coming out in the spring.
Looking forward to it. Before we let you go, 2 more questions. What's the weirdest thing you've seen at either weirdest or the coolest thing you've seen at Comic-Con?
I tell you, the coolest and the weirdest are always the cosplayers. The costumes go from really cool to really weird, and they're walking. Sometimes it's the same person. But it's always fun.
Awesome. And your favorite comic book hero or superhero of all time?
Well, I voiced the Flash on the Justice League animated movies right now for Warner Brothers, so the Flash.
Barry Allen right here.
That's right.
Now, was that pretty cool doing that? Now,
that's great.
How is that different from when you're acting in I want to use the right word, an animated film and a motion picture? I hope I said it right. What's the difference in that when you're voicing and then you actually,
When you're just doing the voice, it's just so much faster because you go into a recording studio and you do the whole. Like, I've done 3 movies for them. We did Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis, and Justice League versus Teen Titans. And each time, it took me maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 to do the whole movie. And I'm done. All the hard work gets done by the animators. Whereas when you're shooting a film or a TV show, it's a long process. Every episode takes 8 days to do, and every scene takes multiple hours to shoot, and you got to get there early to get into hair and makeup and the wardrobe. It's a whole deal.
Awesome, Chris. It's been a pleasure talking to you, my friend, and have a great con.
Thank you. You too.
Good. How are you?
Vince, now let's talk about the panel that you're on here at Comic-Con.
I guess I'm in the Gears green screen and video games panel, and I'm here to talk about motion capture. I've been doing it for about 12 years now, professionally. I own my own company. We, work on all kinds of different things. Last year we did like Metal Gear Solid 5. I got to put reflective dots on Kiefer Sutherland's face for about a year and chase him all around the country. All the Resident Evil games. What else are we working on now? I think we're doing the DC thing that comes out next year.
Sweet. You heard it first here.
And I'm also allowed to talk about Agents of Mayhem. just finished working on all the moves for that game.
That's sweet. So Vince, for some of our viewers and listeners out there who may not be familiar with motion capture, can you give them a brief overview of what that is?
Totally. So I put people in black Velcro jumpsuits and affix little reflective dots all over them and put them in a giant studio surrounded by a bunch of motion capture cameras that we basically record their movement and apply it to 3D game characters and movie characters and commercials and stuff like that.
That's nice. So is that why we see over the years with, especially like the sport games, like with Madden?
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Madden first came out, it was like little boxes running, but now you're starting to see like some more fluidity in the movie.
Totally hand animated stuff back in the day. But yeah, we've actually captured a lot of sports stuff. We've worked on NBA 2K, WWE 2K, stuff like that. And they don't always record the pros themselves. They use the B-list kind of athletes to kind of mimic the moves. Let's see what else. I have captured LeBron James in the past. That was pretty epic.
Sweet. How was it?
It was amazing. That guy moves like I've never seen anyone move before in my entire career. Extreme power, extreme speed, and accuracy. It was pretty intense.
Nice. And Vince, how long does the process take when you are doing motion capture? Let's say with Kiefer Sutherland. How long did that take? You said about a year?
Different sessions of a year. So we're working on his schedule. So for like A-list talent, we're chasing them around and kind of fitting in where they have time to do it. On a normal video game or whatever, let's see, like it's broken into two parts. So you have like the cinematic part, which is all the storytelling and the big acting parts. That's much longer. And then you have the in-game moves, which are all like the punch and jab and kick and jump and all those things that you control with a controller. So like a typical in-game session would be about a day or two, and we'd capture somewhere in the lines of like 2,000 to 3,000 moves for the game. For cinematics, it could be a week, could be up to 3 months worth of shooting.
So Vince, what was like the biggest challenge when it comes to motion capture?
Biggest challenge is staying true to the actor's performance and getting the exact performance that was done on stage. I know Andy Serkis was a big outcrier of this one, that it's all about his motions and everything. And it's true, it really is about the actor's performance. And you see a big difference between a novice green amateur motion capture actor and a pro that hits one takers every single time, you know?
And Vince, so let's say if I was a video game, would it be a challenge kind to motion capture me with the wheelchair and everything? Would it be kind of
easy, super easy?
Is that right?
Yeah, because all this is one solid object. All I got to do is capture the upper half.
Nice. Video game coming with me in it.
Come on the stage, let's do it.
All right, we're definitely going to do it. So let's talk about, were you a gamer growing up?
I was an intense gamer. I think I started on the Atari 2600. I sold all my toys when I was 8 to buy an original NES, and I played on that thing for probably the next 5 years straight, and played through Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx 16 and GameCube, like all Nintendo 64. I went all the way through, and then once I hit college and started working on them, my gameplay time kind of dropped off. And now I just make them. I don't play them anymore.
Wow. You know, and when you talk about that when you were younger, how you were a gamer. Now, when you were growing up, did you say like, if I'm able to be in this position, I want to make it move like this and move like that?
Oh yeah. And growing up, like I had one TV that was television, one TV that was like my action sports game, and one TV that was my role-playing game, and I'd sit there and play both of them while watching TV. And now I sit in front of 6 computer screens with 5 different computers, and like it's the same thing, just all grown up, you know. But yeah, I definitely I'm working on my own personal game right now, you know, so I'm definitely thinking about those moves. What's fun to play? What is different that we haven't seen? You know, I'm kind of trying to shy away from all this shoot 'em up stuff. There's so many guns in games now, you know, and it's the one thing that I really think we could do a lot less of, you know, is like, I want to see more games that reward players for making like righteous choices in life, you know, and kind of maybe more involvement, like the whole Pokemon Go thing of getting people out of their house and walking around and being part of the community. It's a brilliant idea. Scary as hell that it was like, it's taking video of the whole town and everything around it. I don't like that part, but you know, we're in the age of VR and AR, and it's par for the course these days.
And then you bring up a very good point, because we know nowadays kids, especially the first person shooter games and everything, kids are being conditioned like that, and it's really refreshing to hear someone in the industry to say, hey, let's go do a little different.
Let's do stuff where they're not killing each other and not learning military tactics of how to, you know, roll into a school and shoot everyone, and what all the different weapons are, and how fast the clips reload, and all this stuff. Like, my kid doesn't need to know that stuff, you know. But it really does come down to parents, I guess, and what they're allowing kids to learn until they become teenagers. And, you know, I guess, I don't know, it's a strange thing because it all comes down to like how you were brought up, how much attention you were given as a kid kind of thing, you know. I'm seeing a lot of these major shootings happening by people that, you know, really don't have anyone that care about them that much, or they don't really have a place in life. And I think that's the major issue. I see the importance of competitive play with first-person shooters, and there's definitely a spot for that. It's just there needs to be a little sprinkling of like morals in there somewhere, you know.
It makes a lot of sense, and thanks for opening up to us about that, because I totally agree with you 1,000%. Now, before we let you go, 2 other questions. Now, being here at Comic-Con, what's the weirdest thing you've seen?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Being my first Comic-Con here, I've seen a lot of weird stuff already. I've only been on the floor a couple hours. It's hard to tell, man.
I hear you. So next year, when we have you on, we'll talk about it. You have some more stories. And last one, your favorite comic book character or superhero of all time?
That's a hard one. I'd have to go back to like old childhood days, and this is a pretty like rare, obscure one. Was from Image Comics. Wildcats was a character named Grifter. Old school. So there you go.
Nice, Vince. Great talking to you. Now, how can one follow you out there?
I have a website, Mocap Militia, MOCAPMILITIA.com. I also shoot a lot of 360 video stuff at another website, Facebook thing called Sacred 360. Those would be probably the 2 best places to reach me.
Awesome, Vince. It's very refreshing to talk to you, my friend, and enjoy your con.
Thank you.
All right. We're talking about gaming and gears. That's part 1 of our 2-part series. We'll talk more about it coming up on our next show. Chris Gorham and Vince Argentine, thank you so much for joining us and talking about some things out there. More Tech Zone coming up after these messages. We're going to talk about Live U and how they're streaming the Rio Olympics. We'll be right back with more Tech Zone.